Hi, this is Dan Iacono from IDC. I'm here with Jim Garrity, VP of Cloud Solutions here at Xtium. We're here at Philadelphia Tech Week. Jim, I want to ask you a question. What kind of cloud trends are you seeing out in the industry?
Well, right now we're seeing a lot of momentum around desktop as a service in the marketplace, and so if you think of cloud companies and what's exciting about those is we've been focused for a number of years on the servers and the DR and the storage and the networks, but now we're seeing much more of a trend of okay, companies have dipped their toe into that pool, they've had some success, and now it's about, all right, how do we move our entire IT infrastructure out of our current premise? How do we get better service, better reliability at a lower cost? And so that's been one of the exciting trends that we've seen. So desktop as a service has played a role, voice over IP services bolted into desktop as a service, and then combine that with your traditional cloud hosting, your cloud disaster recovery models. We find that to have great success in what we're seeing. We're also seeing a bunch of adoption trends in big data. Yeah. So one of the things that we're seeing is how do we use structured and unstructured data? How do we mine it? How do we analyze it? How do we report against it? And then how do we help it make decisions? And so right now we're seeing an explosion in just all of the different types of storage requirements we have, and the analytics requirements and all those things that really help companies look at all these different data sets that they have and then figure out ways to help them drive their business in the future. So I would say that those are probably two adoption trends that we find that are pretty exciting for our business nowadays.
That's definitely exciting. So what kind of offerings and solutions are customers asking for you to provide for them?
Well, if you looked a couple years ago, it was very much about, okay, I really want to leverage additional servers in the cloud. I want to really gain an understanding of what this cloud concept is all about, and I want some storage and I want the scalability. Now what we're seeing is something completely different. Now what we're seeing is, hey, the scalability is there. Every cloud company should have it, and so how do we make sure that our applications are always available in the cloud, and how do we do that in a cost-effective way? And so, really different strategies about how to use the cloud so it's always available, from an end user customer perspective. How do my applications always, kind of stay on with no issues? I would say the other things that we're starting to see a lot of are going back to that application for a second. We're seeing companies that want to, instead of just using us as an infrastructure as a service cloud like they can traditionally use companies like us, they really want to actually build our applications to the cloud. So we're looking at different concepts now. So if you look at your traditional Amazons and OpenStacks and things like that, and some of the tools and technologies they use to really allow us to talk directly to storage from the application tier, we're starting to get asked questions about how do we play in that space. And then most importantly, I would say is that we talked about availability, we talked about applications and their ability to connect directly into these clouds. The third piece is really how do we protect ourselves from a DR perspective. Traditionally the knock on hosting companies and cloud companies has been, hey, we're great if you come to us, but we're not great if we have to come to you. And so Xtium has spent a large investment and a bunch of time in trying to figure out ways where we extend our cloud to the customer in that experience. We pop a device on site. We ensure that the network and the backups and the replication and all those different things that are, from a cloud perspective, companies don't want to get into. We really have listened to customers over the last couple of years, and we started to provide those value-added services back to their edge, back to their doorstep.
You mentioned some of the larger providers, like let's say a Rackspace or an Amazon. How do you differentiate yourself in that kind of, let's say, mega cloud provider environment?
Sure. So we are certainly not a mega cloud in comparison to them. They're great companies, first and foremost, both Amazon and Rackspace. For us, it's really about how do we provide extremely high-touch service to customers, but on the back end for us is how do we do it in an automated way. So for a customer, it feels like, okay, if I'm connecting to their cloud and I'm physically to virtually converting assets and I'm building the networks and the optimization and all those things back to our environment for them so they don't have to have the IT expertise to do that, that's a very high-touch service, and it feels very custom to a customer, but it's all automated on our side, so we don't, it's not a bunch of work for us. That's how we're different. And that high-touch service, I think, is what differentiates us from those mega cloud customers. You mentioned two good ones, though. Those guys are fantastic.
Well, definitely one of the biggest problems that we're seeing with customers, or let's say barriers to adoptions, are saying, well, how do I get to the cloud? I love the pricing, I love all these different features, but how do I get from where I am today to the cloud? I mean, how is Xtium helping out with that issue?
So we spend a bunch of time in this, and so really it comes down to is I always come back to the application and the customer experience. So what is the application that you're trying to run that is critical to your business, that affects revenue? Maybe you start there as an example. And what is the customer experience that you have today? So if you want to come to a cloud company, first let's measure how good is that performance, how good is the reliability and all those pieces. And then from there, let's figure out a way to convert it. So when we put this smart frame on site as an example, we'll go through the conversion. If you're in a virtual environment, we'll convert it to our virtual environment. If you're in a physical environment, we convert it. We have our device do all of that on the fly, so it's not impactful to a customer and us. We figure out the appropriate time. We bring them in. We digest that information. We test it to make sure that that from a customer perspective, it's as good, if not better, than the performance that they're seeing. That end user performance is really good. And then because we're consistently staying in sync from what we've converted, it's very easy for us to then instantly cut over and allow the customer to start consuming in our cloud. And then from there, it's just about Lego blocks. It's okay. Now we've taken this critical a business critical revenue generating application. Now let's take another one. Let's take a hard one. Give us something that you really hate to support and you really hate to manage. Let's get it back in the cloud and let somebody else who who can do it more cost effectively with less onerous type of a feel to it. And let's kick it over to them and make them deal with it. And so that's where we get asked a lot about where can we play? Give us your hard applications. Don't give us the easy ones. Keep the easy ones because they're not an IT dream. Give us the hard ones.
Well, we definitely have a lot of hard applications out there. So what's next for Xtium and Xtium's cloud?
So for us, I think it's a couple of things. So on the application sense, we really play well today in the Exchange space, in the SharePoint space. Think of any collaboration tools, Link, any types of CRM type applications. So whether you're looking in the dynamic CRM space, the SAP CRM space, or you're looking at other types of ERP based applications, specifically whether it's SAP or it's JD Edwards or one of these other whatever the applications are, we certainly like to play really well with those really some of those high-end enterprise type applications.
Yeah, you want to get that kind of tight integration between, let's say, the cloud and a specific application.
Correct. That's exactly right. And so we try to do that a couple ways. We obviously make sure that the cloud and those applications, that the networks are highly optimized, our storage is high performance. We allow for companies that are looking for a unique way to gain some additional advantages, whether it's speed or performance or let's say just redundancy. That's really where I think our sweet spot is that we try to be kind of that cloud in a box type of a solution as much as we can.
Definitely exciting, and it's been an exciting Philadelphia Tech Week. Jim, I really thank you for sitting down with us.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. Thank you very much.
And look forward to more information on our blog site, as at IDC we're going to analyze the future.